Hey guys, it's Jan, Not a Real Farm. So we are back. And the greenhouse is actually doing really well. It's been 3 days of nothing but torrential rain. So I've been kind of in and out of the greenhouse. But for the most part, when it's dark or, rainy for a few days, it really gets sort of slow in here and it slows down and not much is growing or going on and no pollinators either. So it's kind of been one of those things where now I've started to sort of take in my seed from outside, started to save seed overall. These are my little mini purple sunflowers. Aren't they cute? I still have an abundance of pepper plants that are growing in here. They are actually already starting to drop fruit, but you can see in here, I've got tons of flowers. So these are just going to be bell peppers. We have been eating bell pepper galore in here, guys. Oh my goodness. So, like I was saying in one of the videos, just in time, the grapes here have started to grow all the way up where the watermelon now is done. So now I can successfully just allow that vine to just sort of take over and grow up over. And it might not make it over this year just because it started out really slow, but it is doing what it's supposed to do. So it'll be really interesting to see how the grapes grow in here. Coffee plants are still loving it. It is right about now, it's in the greenhouse. It's in the 70s. So the coffee plants are doing amazing. I've been taking on little crabapple trees. So we planted 3 of those out in the garden just before all of the rains. So I've got these beautiful crabapple trees that will, give us some white flowers in the spring. What else do we have going on here? Oh yes, I forgot. So remember guys, when I first showed you my video on the roses that I had in here, and they were no bigger, no taller than maybe a foot. Well, when I showed you them before, they didn't even really come up to the second rung, but now what they've done is they've begun to grow all the way up. So we're up to the 5th rung. So I'm thinking next summer, they're probably going to make it around. What do you think? But they took off in here. It is amazing. And my okra is finally going to seed. So this is my Kandahar okra. This is my first year growing this. So what we're going to do is we're going to save the seed from that. So I've got to wait for the pods to basically dry out and crack and then remove the seeds so that they're dry. And check out the paste tomatoes. Look at the beautiful Amish paste tomatoes I've got. Look at this. Now, with the weather changing, they're going to start showing signs of stress. So things like cracking, stuff like that. But they are still beautiful enough for you to use in sauces, ketchups, whatever. And they're actually a really nice size, too. Check this out. So these guys did amazing. There's that whole thing where people really believe that tomatoes really, really like a lot of heat, and that's not true. Normally what will happen is if the greenhouse or wherever you're growing is too hot, they'll set flower, but they actually will not fruit. Oh, there's always so many things that can go wrong with tomatoes, but this year, I think because the greenhouse was actually a little bit cooler than last year, oops, I think this is the reason why the tomatoes did amazing. So these are going to be taken in today, and we are going to be doing some of our own pasta sauce. Oh my gosh, look at this one. Good grief. Look at that. And it's getting to the end of the season. I'll be able to probably grow in here like I did last year, probably until November. So we've still got a good amount of time left, to harvest those tomatoes. I've still got plenty of paste tomatoes coming in. You can see the nice green shoulders. I don't have any blossom and rot. Lots of dirt. So this has been a really successful year in here for tomatoes, and I really do credit it to the temperature difference in here this year. Here's my bubblegum pink cherry tomatoes. These are really cool. Definitely something unique to grow, and they do have a really great sweet taste to them. I really like them. Really good. And the tomatoes over here, my sweetheart cherries, have gone crazy. Take a look here. So we've been picking them off and we've been eating them, but they're called sweetheart cherries because they are in the shape of a heart. But they give you an abundance of tomatoes. Here, what they've done is, I was going to actually pull these back up and sort of clip them to the ceiling, but I don't have anything else here, so they're not bothering anything. So I think for the ease of picking, I think I'm just going to leave them like that. But if you look in here, you can see all the clusters of tomatoes. These are a sweetheart cherry. First time I've grown them. And we'll definitely be taking the seed and keeping these because, wow. There's just so many of them. I can't keep up with them, so I've actually been canning my tomatoes. Our cantaloupe is taken off. It's doing really well. And our potatoes are flowering. So here we are over here. They're starting to flower. So we know for sure that we're obviously getting some potatoes. And we've got one more crop of potatoes too. So 2 more crops of potatoes to go because the back 40 still has a bunch of potatoes. And then we'll be done. Sesame. Finally. So sesame, what happens with it, and I'll show you since this guy is leaning over a little bit. Sesame all grows in these little tiny pods here. And they grow all the way up the spines. I mean, on forever. Until it, I think some of these are almost 5 feet high. So all these little pods have sesames in them. And the trick with sesame is you actually have to wait until the plant dies. So the plant, let me move this out of the way. Plant's already started to die off. You can see here the leaves are starting to turn brown. You want to see the pod go brown, and then you can actually harvest the sesames out of that. And I'll give you an example of what it looks like, because you can take these off at any point, but they're just not ready until they turn brown. So we'll take the leaf, and we'll take the pod, because sometimes one won't come without the other. So here's a little sesame seed pod. They kind of feel like a pod of okra, if I can describe it that way. Okay, so here is our trusty sesame seed pod. And can you guys, once I break this open, actually see, I'll move my hand in a second. It's green, so it's actually a little hard to break open. There we go, that's better. There we go. So this is an Afghani sesame seed. But there's got to be, what would you guys say, 50 seeds maybe in one pod? So you can see, if you grow maybe 2 plants, just how much sesame seed that you can take. And gosh, guys, you can use sesame seeds for anything. Baking, top of your oatmeal. Sometimes I like sesame seeds just as a little snack. So this plant has been in the ground for about 4 months. But you can see, this is the tallest one, I'm just bending it forward, just how many sesame seed pods are on this one. It's going to be a lot of seeding to do, but it'll be well worth it. So eventually what I'm going to do at the end of the growing season is just put some sesame seeds up on the Etsy store too. There'll be so much from all of these pods, so we're going to share some. Our pineapple ground cherries are ready. So the pineapple ground cherries, basically what happens is when they start to look like this and fall off, you can get your ground cherry. Usually you have a blanket laying under them so they can collect. And then as soon as they're yellow like this, they are ready to eat. These are like eating a pineapple, a fresh piece of pineapple. That's all I can sort of compare it to. You get basically an entire season worth of berries off of this thing. They look like they're in little Chinese lanterns, and they fall to the ground. And then when you open them up, there's a blast of pineapple, and it also makes wherever you're growing them smell like pineapple. So you always get this blast of really nice pineapple. These are really good. We started putting these up in the Etsy store. I think it's a good thing to share these. I think that these are something that people really need to try. I wasn't even familiar with them until I started growing them this year, and I thought, this is even better than blueberries. Anyways, if you get an opportunity to get some, try it. You'll love them. Okay, so let's get in here, see what we've got. Now, I've started pulling plants, guys, so it's going to look a little bit more scarce in here now because, you know, we have to get real about fall coming. Still got a few little pepper plants left. Well, I guess not little. My King of the North bell peppers. They are still reddening up, but you can see that they are coming along nicely. My Blue Lake bush beans have now started seed production pretty much. So these are sort of well past the time to eat them. You can actually feel the seed now in them. Yeah, so you can start to bend them in half. So these have gone to seed. So now we're just going to dry them out and we're going to save them for next year. And I guess it's that time of the year where it's pumpkin spice time, right? Hey, look at this. Look at the pumpkins. So these ones are the ones, I can actually harvest this right now and we would be able to take seed from this. You have to wait until the green sort of goes away and goes to orange for these ones. These ones are the hulless type of pumpkins. So they're not harvested for their flesh. They're harvested for the seeds because the seeds are naked. So you can actually scoop the seeds out and just eat them right away. So I'm really excited about that. Just not quite ready yet. And sort of moving on from the corn, just in case you're wondering sort of what's entangled around it, is a pole bean. But this pole bean is kind of cool. These are called Nona Agnes blue beans. Really unique. Probably one of the prettiest beans that I've ever harvested. What happens is they dry down, and depending on your temperature, they may be a really nice jewel colored blue, or if it's a little bit warmer where you live, they might actually be a steel gray. Look at the color of these beans. Isn't that cool? Let's see if I can get them all out. And the colors will vary too. Isn't that cool? All in all, guys, everything is still beautiful, still growing. I'll take the extended season if we get one. Thanks for joining me today. Hope you guys are having a wonderful Sunday. See you soon.